It is good to be back with you. We finally made it, and I'm glad to be with you. I appreciate this congregation so much, and your missions committee there's just not a better one that I work with. I appreciate them and all of you. I want to give you just kind of an update on where we are with some of the Bear Valley International Schools. What we're trying to do is train preachers all around the world. And so we get to partner with different brethren in different locations. And so I want to give you an update on some of that, some of the highlights, but there would be too much to share everything, because I also want to get into a lesson. I'm not one to pass up the opportunity to preach. And so I'm going to give you an update on where we are, and then I'm going to share with you some lessons that this year has taught me, because it has certainly been an interesting year, to say the least. Give you an idea where we are at Bear Valley in the International Studies program. At the end of 2014, there were 17 schools. This year we will end with 45 schools. There are a couple that have not been, well, one's still waiting to begin because of COVID. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. 45 schools. They are also now, we are in 28 different countries around the world. The student body, the enrollment has grown in those 6 years from 301 exactly in the year 2014 to now, we're going to find out in the next few weeks exactly the number for this year, but it will be close to 1,000. And so that's obviously great growth. But here's the best part. Here's the best part, because while these students are in school training to be preachers, they're not just students. They're also evangelistically minded. They came to school that way. We want to even increase that while they're in school. Those students, while they're in school, last year baptized almost 3,500 people, which means in the last 5 years, these are current students. These are not alumni. We can't try to track all of that. Current students, while they're in school in the last 5 years, have baptized over 17,000 souls. And that's what it's all about. It's not about preacher training schools per se. It's not even about preachers per se. It's about what can we do to get as many people to heaven as we possibly can. So this is the part we're really excited about, and we look for even more growth to come. Give you a few highlights on some of the new schools. Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Dar es Salaam is Tanzania is in East Africa. Dar is the biggest city in the country. It is projected to be, in the next 50 years, one of the biggest cities in the world. It is currently several million. And in Dar es Salaam, the church does well, but again, they have a need to train more preachers. Most congregations don't have just one preacher. You might have 3 unpaid, untrained preachers per congregation. They all share the job, and so we're helping to train these guys as well. This photo was taken this year in this year, I think it was August maybe. Tanzania is not participating in the global pandemic, by the way. They got together and decided they didn't want to participate. And so everything's wide open in Tanzania. I've been there twice. I taught in Arusha, taught in Dar, visited there. In Dar es Salaam, that's one location. We have too many students to fit all in one classroom. And you might even look at that and think, well, that's way too crowded. Well, it is. We're trying to do something about that. This is the other location in Dar es Salaam. We just had when I was there last, I thought we've got to do something to improve the learning environment. Can you imagine 8 hours per day, no cross ventilation, there is a ceiling fan, you're sitting shoulder to shoulder, 3 people per table. But for now, that's what we have. But we just had a very generous donor make it possible for us to improve this learning environment in this location and also in this one as well. We're really excited about it. In fact, I talked to the director today. The money has just arrived there, and we're going to begin construction this week and make that situation even better than it already is. There's about 40 students in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. This is Tripoli, India. If you're familiar at all with India, you've got Bangalore and Chennai, 2 of the biggest cities in the country. Tripoli is kind of in between them. But I'll tell you what Tripoli is best known for is this. Tripoli is to Hindus what Mecca is to Muslims. This is the holiest city in the world for Hindus. Because in this temple complex, and I've been there, by the way, get this temple complex hosts between 50 and 100,000 people every day. Every day. They line up. The line extends to get into this one temple where the holiest God is housed. The line extends 2 miles every day. The line is 2 miles long every day. It's sad. It's sad because these good, well-meaning people who don't know any different are there for that reason. But what we're doing in Tripoli is we're training gospel preachers. This is V.J. Kumar, who is the director of the school there. These are my clicker, there we go. All right, those are the instructors. And there is the student body. Things are going very, very well there. They had to shut down, like most schools, they had to shut down for a little while because of COVID. They're back up and running. Their first graduation ever will be this April. And by the way, this year, before everything shut down, I did a drop-in surprise visit. I like to do that occasionally because you can only really know what's going on when they don't know you're coming, right? And so, and every time I do it, the reaction's the same. The jaws drop, but what are you doing here? But I found exactly what I hoped to find. They were in class doing what they're supposed to be doing, and so I was really happy about that. This is next. If I do this, maybe, there we go. Lagos Island, Nigeria. Lagos is a city of 20 million people. It is the most populous city on the continent of Africa. Nigerians compose 20% of all Africans. 1 out of every 5 Africans is Nigerian. It's has the largest city on the continent, the largest economy on the continent. In many ways, the key to Africa is Nigeria. We have several schools in Nigeria. This is a new one in Lagos Island, Nigeria. All right, there we go. You're already ahead of me. He's trying to get me to rush here, I think. Abuja, Nigeria. Abuja is actually the capital of Nigeria, and it is a very key city to the entire country. But I want you to see, geographically, you see that it's in the middle of the country. But if you look just to the north and east, there's a city called Jos, J-O-S. From Jos northward, you are now in primary Muslim, Islamic-controlled areas where the Boko Haram that you hear about sometimes in the news, recently a denominational pastor was murdered, beheaded by the militants. This is that area. I got a request to help us train preachers to send to the north. When they say send to the north, what they mean is to the Muslim-controlled areas. And I thought, I'm not going there. I'm not going to the north. But if I can help them train people to go to the north, then I think I ought to do that. So I went and checked it out. I could not believe how an incredible opportunity this is in Abuja. I was meeting with some of the teachers here. This is the church building where one of the locations is held. We have another situation in Abuja, too many students for one location. When I got there, I was unprepared for how many highly qualified teachers there were. So many that we knew immediately we couldn't use everybody. It's a really good problem to begin, just choosing the cream of the crop. And these guys are highly qualified. There's not a more qualified faculty in the 45 schools, and they are a pleasure to work with. These are the elders of that congregation, and in the back you see Chad Wagner. He's an American who's the coordinator for the school, and the 2 men next to him are the campus, the location directors, and then the shortest one on the end there is the director of the entire school, and it is going very well. Typically we think if there's about 10, that's enough people to justify. So if we have 10, that's good. You can imagine how happy we were. This was the first day of class. There were over 50. Now, the numbers always drop. It's stringent. It's difficult. Not everybody can do it. It's dropped all the way to about 45. So about 45 students in the city of Abuja. There's 42 congregations in this city and more starting because the city is growing. It's about 7 million now, but it's growing rapidly. It's the fastest growing city on the continent of Africa. All right, waiting to begin is a school in Mombasa, Kenya. I was just there a few weeks ago, and we are putting everything together to start a school there. It's the second largest city in Kenya. The first is Nairobi. We started a new school there last month. I was there then went to Mombasa. And so there's already a Bear Valley School in Kisumu, which is the 3rd largest city. So in a few months, there will be a Bear Valley School in the 3 largest cities in Kenya. Northern Luzon, Philippines, this is the one that we were actually ready to begin months and months ago, but they locked down because of COVID. Philippines is locked down like very severely. They finally lifted. We thought we were going to start. Then they went back to lockdown, and then they got hit by a monsoon. And they've been completely flooded, and everything's just had to be put on the back burner for now. But everything is ready to begin with a new school in the Philippines. So, having said all of that, oh, by the way, if you would like to email, if you want to get my email updates, you can email me there, and I can do it. If you have a question, comment, whatever, you can email me. That's the website, wetrainpreachers.com, if you want to learn more about the international schools. But this year has been difficult, to say the least, right? And people have said, well, how has this affected? Well, obviously it's affected the work in some ways. Most every school has at least at some point had to close, but now most every school is going again. But people have said, how have you managed? Well, there was a point where I realized, what is it that 2020 is teaching me? Have you had the same thought? Like, surely I'm learning something from what's going on this year. And so I decided to jot down a few things that I want to share with you that 2020 has taught me. If you go through a difficult time and you don't come out of it with learning something, growing somehow, you missed an opportunity. I'm going to list to you 5 in descending order. 5 things that this year has either taught me or just reminded me of. The first one is that training preachers really is the right way to do things. In 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 2, Paul told that young preacher Timothy, who was sort of a missionary in Ephesus, I want you to entrust the word to faithful men who will do what? Who will entrust it to others as well. And that's the motto. In fact, that's Bear Valley's motto, 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 2. I already knew this. And I know some people will say, well, you believe that because this is what you're doing. No, it's actually, I'm doing this because I believe this and I've seen it. But this year, perhaps more than any other, has reminded me just how valuable this biblical model is. There aren't enough of us to go out and save the world. There's not enough of us, but it's not meant to be enough of us to do it. We've got our own places to be concerned about, don't we? But what if we can help train more and more gospel messengers around the world? And that's what we're doing. I have this picture up here because, and this is the school in Cebu, Philippines, and one of these students, let's see, right here there he is, Danny, right there. During this they've been locked down too, but he messaged me on Facebook, sent me a message. He had just baptized, I think it was 2 or 3 different people that week. And I thought, you know what, he doesn't need me. What if their evangelism, what if their church growth, what if their church health depended on me being there? I haven't been allowed to go there. In fact, it's been over a year since I've been there. If they were dependent on me or dependent on you to be there to do this, it wouldn't happen. This is Michael right here. Michael, in the same week, I got a message from him. He already preaches for 2 congregations. They've just started another congregation. So now he's preaching for 3 congregations. And that congregation, that 3rd one, started as a result of several baptisms from a campaign. You know what role I had involved in that? None. Nothing. They don't need us to do their evangelizing. What we're doing, what we're bringing to the table is helping train them to do it themselves. And again, this biblical model of 2 Timothy 2 and verse 2 absolutely works, and this year has reminded me of that. A 4th lesson that I have been forced to realize yet again this year is that we remain greatly, not just blessed, greatly blessed. When we first kind of shut down, I was seeing on social media people complaining a lot, mostly about being bored, and then others about gaining weight. The quarantine 15. You know what? If we are so blessed that our biggest problems are being bored and gaining weight because we eat too much, We are blessed. I show you this picture. This is in northern Cameroon. This is on the French side of Cameroon. Cameroon's divided by language, English and French. I show you this picture. These are not the students in the school there. This is the students went on campaign there. This is the church building. Those benches are under a tree. That's the church building. And you're thinking, well, I'm showing that picture because we are blessed because we have padded pews and air that is conditioned. Well, yes, but no, not just that. You see, they're living in a country where they have a civil war going on right now. You know what the big driving factor of hatred is? Language. Isn't that something? People can always come up with something to be angry about and hate about. But they're in a civil war. People are being shot. A lot of Christians have been displaced. A lot of other Christians are stepping up, housing them. And I'm thankful that while we've had some craziness in this country, we remain greatly blessed. Our director for the new school in Uganda sent me a video just a few weeks ago that he took. He was hiding because there were protests going on and you could hear gunshots in the background. They were protesting because they have a presidential election coming up. We just suffered through one of those. They've got one coming up, but get this. The incumbent had the main opposition leader arrested and put in jail. Now, give you apples and apples. Let's just imagine in September, Trump has Biden arrested and put in jail. They're protesting. People are being shot because of all of this going on. How blessed are we? I want to show you this video because while we have had to fight the quarantine 15, there have been a lot of people that during this time have not been allowed to go and get their daily bread. Jesus prayed, give us this day our what? Daily bread. But we're so blessed, we don't even think about daily bread. I mean, that's just a given, right? But if you have to live day by day, and yet because of lockdowns and quarantines, you're not even allowed to go out and do that, you suffer and you struggle. This video was taken in Nigeria. And this was, they went to a place, that truck is filled with big bags of rice. And this is people who just wanted to get some rice. How blessed we are. We are incredibly blessed. And while this year has been challenging in many ways, we remain blessed. And I know we've joked about the year, but may God forgive us for not being grateful that we've had another year of life. Psalm 90 and verse 12 says, number your days. James 4:14, your life's like a vapor, it's slipping by. We're not guaranteed time, but we've had this year, and while it's been challenging, we remain blessed in so many different ways. A third lesson that I have learned this year is I've been reminded that I really do need to take one day at a time. You know, we like to number, we just mentioned Psalm 90 and verse 12. We like to number our years, don't we? We celebrate years, birthdays, anniversaries. We like to number our years, but we don't often number our days. This year has reminded me that sometimes I take a lot of things for granted. About this time last year, I bought a 2020 yearly planner. And I had all kinds of plans written in that. And you know what most of it looks like now? Scribbled out. Scribble, scribble. And then there was a long period where there wasn't a whole lot written. I learned, the old saying, man plans and God laughs. We think we know what we're doing. We may not know what we're doing. I show you this picture because to me this is what it represents. This is Robert Don. Robert is the director of the school in Ganta, Liberia. Liberia went through its own civil war. and he was a victim of that. In fact, he's got a big gash on the back of his head from where a soldier hit him with his machete. He grew up in a refugee camp in Ghana. I actually taught Robert when he was in school in Ghana back in, I think 2011. But I saw this picture, and I don't know the context of it, but what it seems to me is he's going about his day, and somehow an opportunity to sit down and teach 3 children the Bible came about. And he wasn't too busy to do it. I looked at that picture and I wondered, if that were me, would I have been too busy to do that? Or would I have actually recognized in the moment, I have an opportunity right now I may not ever have again? I don't know. But I do know that sometimes I'm too busy. And sometimes I forget to take one day at a time. This year has reminded me there aren't a whole lot of guarantees. And I need to remember to do just that. Take one day at a time. Take advantage of those opportunities. Be thankful for every day. Number our days. A second thing that this year has taught me is this world is not my home. I'll tell you, if you've lived through this year and you haven't been made to realize that not only is this world not my home, I'm glad it's not my home, I don't know what to tell you. These are some of the students in Lima, Peru. And because of the pandemic there and the laws and lockdown, they've had to go to Zoom. You know, a few months ago, I'd never heard of Zoom. And now I'm like everybody else, I'm Zooming all the time too. But they've had to move all online. They've continued their studies. In fact, they're even producing webinars specifically for people who can't get out and meet anymore. But I thought this picture kind of represents what this year has been like. These guys know each other and they even live in the same city, but the only way they can even see each other is not in person, but like this. In this world, with all the social issues we've had in this country and the political climate and the hatred and the so many things that have happened this year that have just reminded me this world's not my home. Now, we like to sing that song, don't we? I mean, it's a catchy tune, and we can sing it really good, and it sounds good, and we sing on Sunday, this world's not my home, and then what happens on Monday? Our whole focus goes right back to this world. It's easy to sing it. Sometimes it's hard to remember it. I hope that this year has reminded us, not only is this world not our home, we shouldn't be content in this world, because we're looking for a better home. And then one more, a top thing that I've been reminded of this year, that this year has taught me, is that God's family is the best. It really is. I show you this picture because a few years ago I had this idea, what if Bear Valley in Denver had a study abroad program? My daughter did study abroad when she was at Freed-Hardeman, and some other universities have one. I thought, we've got these campuses around the world. A student who goes from the U.S. who goes to Denver could have an opportunity to study abroad too. So it's a new program. This is you can tell who the new guy is, right? I don't have to tell you who he is. He's from Tennessee. Chris Carter is his name, and he's the second student to take advantage of the study abroad program. But I happened to be in Arusha, Tanzania. This is where that picture is when he arrived. And I called all the students into the classroom and Chris, and then I introduced him to them. And I said, you know, you look different. You come from different places. He doesn't speak your language yet. You're going to have some things that are different, but you're brothers. And you're going to, for the next 2 months, you're going to live together and study together and learn together. And Chris has absolutely had a ball there. He has loved the experience. In fact, he graduated with them. Denver wasn't going to have an in-person graduation in December, so he graduated with them just a few weeks ago. But I thought, that's the family of God. It transcends color and culture and conflict and all of the things that divide people in this world. God's family transcends all of that. Think about this year has been so hard for some people, and I have known of cases where God's family came to the rescue to help each other out, financially and otherwise. You know why? Because God's family is the best. It really is. Now, I know every family has a few stinkers. I understand that. When you get together for your family gathering, there's always that one weirdo, right? And if you get together at a family gathering and you don't see the weirdo, guess who it is? It's you. Because everybody's family's got one. But somebody said, you know, if Noah could put up with a couple of skunks in the ark, I can put up with a couple of stinkers in the church. God's family is the best. It really is. And 1 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 15, Paul told Timothy, I want you to teach the church how to live as members of God's family. We're God's family. And we're blessed to be a part of it. If you're not yet a part of it, you can be. God's made it available. He's already paid the price. He's already made it possible. If you would repent of your sins, be baptized for the forgiveness of those sins, you too can be a member of God's family. All your sins washed away and added to the family that is God's. And it's the best. I appreciate you, appreciate Woodland Oaks and the great partnership that you and we at Bear Valley have shared for quite some time now. Appreciate you, and you are doing so much good to help train preachers around the world. I hope these 5 reminders that I got this year are helpful to you. If you need to respond to the Lord's invitation, we stand ready to help you, and we want to. Whatever your need might be, just let us know what it is, and we'll help you right now while we stand and sing.